People expect to be bored by e-learning. Let's show them it doesn't have to be like that. Good morning to all our legal scholars and our guest, Professor Suresh Raghav. I, Shreya Bhatnagar, welcome you all to the webinar series on career option in the legal field. It's my honor to be a moderator for this webinar conducted by Legal Intellect. Students are requested to keep their mic muted during the session, maintain discipline and overall decency. Do not unmute your mic for any purpose. You will get the chance for clearing your queries. A person learns from two things. One, from their own experience, and second, from others. So let's learn from our guest, Professor Suresh Raghav, a seasoned, well-rounded and blended business and law professional as well as an advisor with 30 plus years of industry experience in various manufacturing, FMCG, telecom, IT and IT's company. He has completed his BA LLB with a gold medal in constitutional law and has got university rank in law from Mysore University. He is an MBA with few postgraduate diploma in HR, labor law and many more. A busy visiting professor associated with many leading private universities, law schools and B schools at Bangalore. He is a corporate trainer for industries in domain of strategy, conflict management, labor law and industrial relation. We see very rare people who decides to distribute their knowledge, and Mr. Raghav is one of them who has a passion of teaching and educating the masses on various areas of law. We are obliged to have you here, sir. We warmly welcome you. Now I would request sir to start the event. Sir, please. Sir, please unmute your mic.
A very good morning to all of you. I hope I am audible.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. At the outset, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Legal Intellect for having invited me and to share a few of my thoughts with you on this fascinating topic, legal careers. Yathato dharma, tathato jayah. You will find this in the emblem, which is there in the highest and the most powerful institution of India, namely the Supreme Court. Where there is justice, there is dharma. With these few introductory words, let me begin. I would like to spend 10 to 15 minutes on giving you a forest view of this huge subject called law. I'm not going to give you the tree view. I wish to take you 80,000 feet above sea level and show you the overarching view of this fascinating subject. And to make it easy for all of you, to make it understandable, I have divided them into groups. For example, there are court-based careers. There are society-based careers in the field of law. You have corporate-based careers. Then you also have international careers. You also have government-related careers. And finally, I would also like to spend a few of my points on the new emerging laws, which is zooming very fast. This is how I have structured the program for today. I hope you find it useful, and at the same time, it adds tremendous value.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. You are not audible. Maybe your mic is muted.
Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are.
Okay, let me just repeat the last two sentences which I said. I said I would be taking you through a big forest view, 80,000 feet above sea level, and showing you the grandeur of this legal profession and see how you could make a beautiful career out of this particular legal function. Okay, to start with, just a few minutes of introduction on this fascinating topic. You will find that while you're walking on the road, a motorcycle comes from behind and hits you, you're governed by the law of thoughts. You're going in a plane, you're covered by the Air Carriage Act. At one point of time, you decide to get married, you're covered by the marriage laws. Maybe, unfortunately, after marriage, you feel that the marriage is not suiting you, and therefore you feel that you want to exit out of the marriage. You have to come through the divorce laws. Or unfortunately, you don't have children, you want to adopt a child, you come under the Adoption and Maintenance Act. At one point of time, you want to start a company, you are governed by the Companies Act or the Partnership Act. You touch a girl and she's unhappy with you with that touch, she considers it a bad touch, you're governed by the Sexual Harassment Act. Or you are very brilliant and intelligent and you want to do something creative and safeguard it and use it for posterity, you're covered by the Intellectual Property Act. All of us as human beings, we have to die one day, but the property which you had, that does not die with you. Therefore, you are governed by the succession laws, wills and all that. Right from birth till death, you are governed by either of the laws. It can be related to the registration of births and deaths. So dear friends, with this small introduction, what am I trying to convey? I'm going to convey something very, very interesting for you. In this beautiful field of law, in India, hold your breath, we have approximately 1,261 laws in India. I repeat, 1,261. I have not taken into account the small minor legislations. If I add all that, probably the numbers will go by another 200 to 300. So this field of law is a huge banyan tree, and there are umpteen branches. So we're just going to trace and find out what are the interesting ones which you will like, what are the ones where you have a long career, what are the ones where you have just a job. There is a difference between a job and a career in the field of law, as it is there in all other professions. You keep doing the job again and again and again because the scope in the job is not very high. Example, an auto rickshaw driver drives auto for 30 years. A bus driver drives a bus for 25 long years. You have jobs. A career is always looked at it from a long perspective. Second point which I would like to tell before I really jump into the subject is there is nothing called as a good job or bad job. All jobs and all careers are good. There are ultimately only two things which go to make any job or a career a great success. And the two ones are, one is job knowledge and skills. And the second one is interest or passion. So unless you have both of these in abundance, you are not going to click in either the job or the career. Just keep this as a foundation point and then let's proceed. If you have read Charles Dickens, one of his lovely books, The Tale of Two Cities, he wrote a lot of books, Oliver Twist, Great Expectations, right? In that particular book, A Tale of Two Cities, he begins the book with a lovely sentence. He says, what you see is unreal. The real is never seen. Taking a cue from that sentence, I would like to proceed. whatever you see, definitely, I just want to slightly more, whatever you see as far as the legal profession is concerned, it's true, true, true. But what you don't see is much more, and it is hidden. And that's where I want to take you through the lovely, interesting hills, meadows, and mountains of this legal profession. So, dear friends, now let's get on to something specific now. Okay. In India, we have approximately 15 to 16 lakh advocates. We have approximately 4 to 4.5 lakh students who are studying law. Every year, 60 to 70,000 students are entering into the field of law. And the last bit of information is most interesting. Legal profession is growing at an enormous pace at nearly 25% every year. So therefore, congratulations, since most of you are students of law who are listening to me. You have chosen the right profession. Nothing to regret. Okay? Good. Now, let's just move on. As I said, I would like to spend few of my thoughts with you on 6 broad areas. Court-based careers, society-based careers, corporate-based careers, international careers, government-based careers, and upcoming new laws, which are very exciting. So I have put all these things into 6 different pillars, and you can choose whichever you want. Okay? Now, the first one, which I would like to spend 5 to 10 minutes, not more than that, because this is a very interesting area, court-based careers. In your classes, your law professors would have spent a lot of time on this particular pillar. So therefore, I'm not going to make or spend too much time over here. Excepting that, let me quickly run through the different opportunities which you have over here. Please remember, the courts in India, you have the lower courts, high courts, and then you have the Supreme Court. There is a huge structure there. It is very grand. The hierarchy is simply phenomenal. In India, as like few advanced countries, we are following the adversarial system. There are 2 types of systems in the courts, adversarial system and inquisitorial. Today, if you go to many European countries, they have the inquisitorial system. Inquisitorial system is a system where the judges take the effort to find out the facts of the case and give the judgment. Adversarial system is where you have the lawyers fighting it out. Lawyers bring the case to the court, and then there is advocacy, and then they fight out the case. There is a difference between a lawyer and an advocate. I always tickle students with these questions. Okay? Most of the students tell me, sir, it's one and the same. No. Okay? Just by way of clarification. When you get a case, you go through the facts of the case, and then there are laws. You take the specific law and match it with the facts of the case and apply the facts onto the law and see whether it is falling within the legal system. You are a lawyer. You're very clear whether you're going to win the case or not. By application of the facts to the law, you will know. But that alone does not matter. You have solved only 50% of the problem. The next 50% is known as advocacy. How do you go and stand in the court? How do you address the judge? How are you putting across the facts? Where lawyering ends, advocacy begins. That is why you will come across hundreds of cases in India where, as per law, he is not to be found guilty, but the advocacy was bad. Sometimes the case is very bad, but the culprit is let off. Advocacy matters. So, dear friends, advocacy is like arguing without entering into arguments. How do you create your case strongly? All these things come under the beautiful career called litigation, litigation, litigation. This is not a government job. Litigation is purely you fight it out on your own merits, right? Now, there will be a little confusion for most of the students when you go to the court for the first time. Everything will be puzzling. What's happening? Who's talking? How the cases are numbered? How do people start? Why arguments are not happening every day? When do arguments happen? Dear friends, the distance between theory and practice is a little too much in the field of law. If you want to be a good litigation lawyer, please be mentally ready to spend another 2 to 3 years getting to know how do you become a good litigation lawyer. It takes a gestation period of 2 to 3 years. Don't be in a hurry. The beauty of litigation is, or the beauty of many of the other careers in law is, there is nothing called as retirement. There is nothing called as recession. Nothing will affect you. Litigation lawyers, they fight the case even up to the age of 80, 85, like Ram Jetmalani and all that. So this is one interesting career in court litigation. Second interesting, other things are all little government related. You have magistrates, you have judges, and then you have senior advocates, and then you have public prosecutors, you have pleaders, you have advocate general, you have an attorney general at the central, because government has got lots of issues. Please understand the difference between a plaintiff and a defendant. In civil matters, it is a plaintiff and a defendant matters. If it is pertaining to a crime which is considered against the state, you have to be a little careful that the wordings will be different. He is known as a public prosecutor. That is why you will come across cases like state versus Ramesh. That means the state government of Tamil Nadu, state government of Karnataka, because it's an offense against the state. There is a public prosecutor, and then the other opponent is known as the defendant. When you are fighting against your rights pertaining to writs, Article 226 of the Indian Constitution, right? Or it is against another article, you will find that you are known there as a petitioner. And when you appeal, you are known as an appellant. When you file for a bail application, you don't say bail plaintiff, it is bail application. So don't worry, these words, by the time you get to know the legal language properly in the courts itself, will take some time. Which court to go? What is the court hierarchy? What is the stamp fees? So all these things will take some time. So I've talked about litigation, and I've also talked about the various hierarchy in the courts. It will take a very, very long time. I've just given an introduction. Apart from that, you also have judicial clerks, registrar of courts, right? Advocate on record. There are so many jobs in the court. So those of you who are fascinated to go to the court, please go ahead. This is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful career. Some of you would like to take the judicial services exam. Please go ahead and take it. Especially nowadays, even with a little experience, you can take the examination and you can become a judge for the lower courts. But if you want to become a judge of the district court, you can practice. You can become a litigation lawyer for 6 to 7 years and then take the examination. So you have different points of time when you can enter into the judiciary as judges. Because not necessarily that you have to take the decision right now. One interesting thing about our profession is, I'm not sure whether you have been analytical to judge all that. Lawyers and advocates should never advertise them. You're not supposed to advertise. Why we are not supposed to advertise? Because we are not in business. The beauty of a doctor's profession or the beauty of a lawyer's profession is it is service-minded. So at the most, what you can do is, recently they have come out, they said you can have a website and just mention what services you are offering. There are many more interesting jobs which are also available in the judiciary. For example, there is a particular job known as draftsman, legal draftsman. Some of you are from different parts of India. You will be 20, 21, 22. You will say, sir, I'm not good in English. I cannot stand up and speak. The very fact of me thinking that I should face a judge and face my opponent lawyer shivers me. And I don't think I'm going to make it. Don't worry, don't worry. There are other careers for you, for people who are not that that very aggressive, not that very strong in communication. That's why we have beautiful areas, legal draftsman. How do you draft? If Amitabh's movie is a success, it's not only because of Amitabh's acting, it's also because of the script writer. Many times we win the case in the court because of excellent drafting. Drafting is the foundation. You should know how to write in the legal language, and what will be the interesting points on which the advocate or lawyer can take it up. I am not sure if you guys have really gone to the Supreme Court or High Court. Whenever Ram Jethmalani used to speak, or whenever Harish Salve speaks in the Supreme Court, or P. Chidambaram speaks, or Fali Nariman speaks, the court hall is full. Everybody wants to listen to every word these advocates are saying. But what many youngsters don't know is behind those arguments are hundreds and hundreds of people who did the drafting well. And also there is another interesting career attached to that. It is known as legal research. They have done research on the topic, taken up the earlier Supreme Court decisions, gone through various labor digests. You help your senior. So that is also a very interesting career. This is available in the courts. It's also available in private areas. When I talk about society-related careers, again, I will be talking on this. So like this, dear friends, so let's talk with regard to court-based careers. Court-based careers are lovely, interesting. Many times it is like a government job. You will have a very good salary. The pay commissions have all revised the salaries, and you know the respectability which these people command in the society. The moment you say you're a judge, judicial magistrate of the first class or whatever it is, you know what is the respect commanded. So go ahead. Those of you who are interested in the court-based careers. Now, slightly linked to court-based careers, you also have tribunals. I do not know whether you've heard about tribunals. You might have studied in law, income tax appellate tribunals. You must have heard about National Green Tribunal, income tax tribunals. These tribunals were all formed because there are too many cases coming to the court. We call them as quasi-judicial proceedings. They are not strict court proceedings, but everybody wants speedier justice. Today, that is why these tribunals are playing a very, very important role. I've been talking to many judges. I've been talking to many advocates. We are coming out with something new, which is known as the Indian Tribunal Service. So if you do that course, you can join all these tribunals. The beauty of Indian Tribunal Service, most of your students, one of the boring subjects for you in law is, I know the 3 laws, which you generally students find it boring. Indian Evidence Act, right? Civil Procedure Code, Criminal Procedure Code. So in these tribunals, the Evidence Act is not applicable. It's a quasi-judicial proceeding. So those of you, who find procedures very difficult, substantive laws are different, procedural laws are different. Indian Penal Code is a substantive law. But the procedures which are mentioned there, it is mind-boggling. By going through those procedures itself, it will take a huge time. That's why he says, give another 2 to 3 years only to learn these procedural laws. But in this quasi-judicial proceedings like tribunals, many of these procedures need not strictly be followed, but they have served a very good purpose. And basically, I have been in HR for a very long time. You have the industrial tribunals there with regard to the Factories Act, Industrial Disputes Act. They do a wonderful job. That's a nice career. Okay, it is a semi-court based one. Plus, there are also court-based tribunals. Okay, dear friends, there is also an interesting area called legal interpreter. How do you interpret the law? Many times when I go to court, it's a little humorous also. Because suddenly when I find, when the case is coming up for hearing, the person who's coming as my defendant lawyer, he also studied in the same college where I studied. And after 10 minutes, when we see the judge entering, he also studied in the same college, we studied in the same year, we passed out in the same year. Then what are we fighting for in a court of law? We all 3 had the same subjects, taught by the same professors, we all got the same marks, but the positions which we are holding is very, very different. What are we fighting? Right? Very interesting. And one interesting thing which we are fighting, one interesting thing is on interpretation. Legal interpretation is a very nice subject. You will find it predominant in the courts. You will also find it very predominant in non-court areas. So enjoy the beauty of court-based careers. So let's move on to the second one. I call it as society-based careers. Many of you will be confused now. No, sir, I'm not interested in going to the court. I'm not interested in wearing the black coat or gown. It's going to take a long time for me. Gestation period is too much. Okay, for such people who are thinking like this, get into famous law firms. You have a wonderful law firm, almost the best in the country. I don't want to mention all that because you need to get into some, I'll be deviating from the subject, Amarchand, Mangaldas. Go ahead, you can do litigation through them, or you can go through the files, get to know what is drafting, pleading, conveyancing, and then you will find that many law firms are specializing in certain laws. Today you have GST, you have customs, you have imports and exports, certain law firms focusing only on income tax, right? Then there is litigation, I thought there is arbitration, legal counseling, mediation, right? For example, 10 years back, one of the biggest interesting things for we people, was Mukesh Ambani and Anil Ambani fighting, right? But thank God they did not go to the court because they knew if you go to the court, probably we do not know when the case is going to end. And then they had friends like K.V. Kamath and others who mediated. So today, you have arbitration. That's why you have Arbitration Act itself. You can also mention there who will be the arbitrators. So these are all very interesting things in society-based cases where you need not necessarily have to go to the court. You can be with law firms. Do plenty of work for your seniors there and then slowly blossom. Because here the advantage is you have variety of laws, people are there to guide you, they give you internship, there is a possibility the seniors will spend more time with you. In linking theory to practice, all of you are bright, intelligent, has to be met. This bridge, the connecting bridge is done quite well by good law firms. So make use of that, okay? And then, you also have in society-based NGOs. NGOs are there. There are lots of legal firms that deal with NGOs. And you can do lots of things related to drafting. Dear friends, initially everything will be a shock for you. Even when I was a junior advocate, I was working in a company as a law officer. I had to very often go to Bombay. In one of the law firms, I think it was Crawford Bailey, I had almost finished my discussion with the very senior lawyer. I had taken the points and I was about to leave when the small young legal assistant came, handed over a huge contract. It will be running 100 pages. He kept it on Mr. Shroff's table and said that, sir, the client wants your opinion in next to 2 hours. I was very shocked. See, I had just hardly 3-4 years experience at that time and I was representing a company. So slowly when my matter was finished and I was getting up from my seat, I asked Mr. Shroff, don't mistake me, I just want to learn one thing from you. I find before you a huge contract running to thousands of pages. It is like Mumbai directory, Karnataka directory and Tamil Nadu telephone directory put together. And don't mistake me, I overheard him saying that he wants your approval in the next 2 hours. So can you just explain to me what is it that you do? He started laughing. And you know what he said? Suresh, do you think I'm going to read all these 1,200 pages? Then I asked him, yes, sir, because that's what I've been taught. If I start reading it, I require 15 days to read. And even if I take 15 days to read that, I will understand only 30%. I have to read another for 10 days to complete it. Then only I will understand at least 70% of the facts. He said, Suresh, initially that is how you start. That is how you should do for the first 4 to 5 years. But once you have rich experience in drafting and knowing how to read a document, if you are good in legal drafting, I will read the whole thing in just 45 minutes. On the end of 1 hour, I will send a mail to my client whether the contract is correct or not. And he gave me the interesting fact. He said, this is a contract pertaining to a big aircraft purchase. This is concerning, Two big companies, Boeing and some other big Indian airline company. He said they want to know, this is the deal running to crores of rupees. What will I see? I will not go through everything. I will go through conditions. I will go through warranties. I will go through time down, the down time. I will go through the spare parts clauses. I will go through like this critical clauses, supply contracts within that, conditions, warranties, and go through the essentials of contract and see how they nicely glide into the most important provisions. For me, 45 minutes or maximum 1 hour is sufficient. But dear friends, this comes with experience. So therefore, it will take time. Whenever you go to a law firm, don't get scared when you see voluminous books, voluminous documents. It all comes with experience. He knows what, I know clearly what I should read. He's one of the best drafters of India, right? Mr. Shroff, right? So these are all interesting things. You have all these professions. Go ahead if you like it. Then there are interesting things pertaining to law reports. So those of you who want to write law reports, in those days when the judgment was pronounced, by the time you could get a copy, it will take 3 months, 4 months. Today, everything is there on the website. Everybody wants quick reports. So law reporting is another interesting career. All those things you can learn from. Things related to legal firms. So I've talked on court-based careers, society-based careers. I'm now entering into the most important one, which all of you like, and where I was also there for almost 25 years. We call it as corporate-based careers, corporate lawyers. First of all, understand corporates. They're all business people. Business is nothing but producing goods or providing services which the society wants with an intention to make profit, profit, profit. Legal is always service, service, service. Business is profit, profit, profit. Understand the ball game. Here you have plenty of laws. CEO will have his own set of laws. HR will have their own set of laws. Finance department will have their own set of laws. Marketing people will have their own set of laws. Any organization you take up, there are plenty of laws. If you ask CEO, his botheration will be about, am I following the Companies Act properly? Am I following the Partnership Act properly? Whichever law is applicable to me, are the board meetings being conducted on time? What about banking laws? I hope we are all following the banking regulations. What about the borrowings which I have made? What is the problem with Vijay Mallya? The problem, the two tags are, he is known as a proclaimed offender and is known as a willful defaulter. He did not commit any murder, right? It's not IPC against him. So like this, corporate violations are too many. So that is why the CEOs will be afraid of laws affecting directly the CEOs. Intellectual property is a law affecting the CEOs, right? Nortel Networks, you must have heard about that company long back. It was the Google in those days, 15, 20 years back. Finally, they bet on a wrong technology and the company had to close down. But they had plenty of patents and they sold that patents for about $5 billion to Google. Similarly, Motorola Mobility, they sold it for about $12 billion. Now imagine you're doing transactions for $12 billion. What would be the advocate's fee? Corporate law is again rich with cash, mergers and acquisitions. Plenty. I was working in a company called BPL. BPL was taken over by SR. SR was taken over by Hutch. Hutch was taken over by Vodafone. Vodafone and Idea have merged, running to billions of dollars. So dear friends, all these are CEO related laws. Competition Act. Just see what's happening to Jio. Look at the quantum of money which is coming from Facebook. Look at the quantum of money which is coming from Saudi Arabia into Jio. Who's drafting all that? Because it's involving big money. So, but it takes time. But what I'm trying to tell is these are all CEO related laws, environment laws. Environment laws are all very, very, very big. Companies have closed down because they are not meeting environmental laws. Now let's come into specifics. If you take the field of HR, we have lots of laws. You have the Workmen's Compensation Act 1923, Trade Union Act 1926, Payment of Wages Act 1936, Industrial Disputes Act 1947, Provident Fund Act 1952. You have the ESI Act, Maternity Benefit Act. You have about 50, 60 laws. Similarly, finance-related laws, income tax, sales tax, insurance, banking, treasury, customs, central excise. These are all related to finance. Then you have marketing laws. Marketing is flooded with laws. First of all, you should know the Indian Contract Act. If those of you are very good in contracts, I work for software companies. Every third day there is a contract given to me. Go through the contract. It's coming from the United States of America. Fix the jurisdiction properly. What supposing you do? If you do work for the software companies and you don't get the money, where is the jurisdiction? How are you going to get back the money? That is why you must have heard in the newspaper very often, Infosys is having litigation, Wipro is having litigation, right? So all these another interesting law for marketing people, Consumer Protection Act. Today the level of consumerism is very active in India. You go buy a washing machine, you go buy a fridge, you go buy a TV. It's not working within 2 days or 3 days. And when you go back, they're saying, sorry, we have already sold the product. It doesn't work. Consumer Protection Act, Weights and Measures Act, they are all coming out of the field of marketing. I'm just giving you a broad spectrum. I'm just throwing open everything to you because I don't know where is your interest. My job today is to show you all the different parts. Which path you want to take is left to you. So corporate, we have plenty of laws, 200 to 300 laws. And out of my 30 years of experience, I will tell you many students who have done MBA in finance or MBA in HR, they don't want to touch legal field at all. And they stylishly say, we have outsourced the function. We don't want to do all that. I tell them, thank you very much, because my lawyers will get benefited. Lawyers are getting benefited. So all these are outsourced to lawyers. You go meet any MCOM student, with due respect to MCOM students and MBA finance students, ask one of them to file their income tax returns. They don't know how to file their income tax returns. Either they have to go to a chartered accountant or go to a lawyer. Right? So corporate laws. Yes, it is very good, but don't be in a hurry. Check it out. Where is your interest? And accordingly, there are plenty to do in the field of corporates alone. Business is very much necessary for the economy to revive. So therefore, corporate sector is zooming and there are very interesting new laws coming there. You want to know some of the new laws which is affecting corporates? GST is a brand new law. Similarly, you have the insolvency and banking code. These are all new laws. We don't have lawyers. There are no lawyers. There's no question of experience. The law itself is brand new. If you start studying these laws, if you're putting GST, insolvency and banking code, Real Estate Regulation Act, when I go to the court, half my friends are going through Real Estate Regulation Act because the law itself is new. So therefore, please get these subjects are not taught in college. Dear friends, I want to make one quick clarification. I said we have about nearly 1,261 laws. What is taught to you in your college will be hardly 30 laws if you are doing 3-year law. If you're doing a 5-year law, maximum they will teach you 50 to 60 laws. That's all. That is why everybody who does law is a student. That is why you will find judges always sitting in the court. Whenever a case is being argued, they will sit with the act. They will sit with the textbook. Because you cannot expect anybody to be an expert in these 1,200 laws. Right? So enjoy the beauty of the legal function. It's vast. It's voluminous. It is like Indian Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, and Pacific Ocean put together. The corporate law, very interesting. Go ahead for those of you who are interested. We want law officers, legal officers. You can help the company secretary in company laws. You can help finance department. Central excise is another interesting law. The beauty of our legal function is you can take up one particular law and do it for the rest of your life. You can take up only one particular law, income tax. You can take up only one GST and continue to do it for the next 25, 30 years of your life, right? So that is why, there's nothing like, being, some of you would like to be broad-based. I would like to be broad-based, right? Sometimes depth and width is required. That's all depending upon the individual. See where your strengths are, right? Okay, the next one which I'm moving on to is to international career. For those of you who would like to go abroad, who would like to make a mark at the international scene, United Nations, you would like to go to International Court of Justice, you would like to go to international labor organizations, there are hundreds of agencies there. I don't want to take time on explaining all that. Go ahead. Please do. Wonderful job opportunities. What is the problem? Again, I'm sorry, I'm referring to people. Look, because these are all common names. I don't want to give you names which is very difficult to recall or you don't know. What is the problem with Nirav Modi? All of you know Nirav Modi. Yeah, he's absconding. He's there in London. He's got caught there. We have to bring him back. What's the problem for Vijay Mallya? It's again a legal issue. We are not able to extradite him. Extradition comes under international law. He's a very clever fellow. He's dodging, and now he's asking for, again, something related to law. Asylum. He wants asylum there, right? All this comes under international law. All of you would have watched cricket, IPL. The person who triggered this beautiful IPL in a great way in India was Lalit Modi. Where is he now? He's absconding for the last 15 years. He's hiding in London. Right? So like this, we have hundreds and hundreds of fugitives. And we want students to learn international law. You can go to Oxford, you can go to Harvard. You go to Harvard and all, there are very, very, very interesting extra subjects in law. For example, there is business and then there is law. Application of business to law. That itself is a huge course. Strategy and law. How to retain customers. Client relationship management is a beautiful subject taught in Harvard. For those of you who want to enhance your competency, look at international level, go ahead, right? And today the biggest problem in India is, all of you, if I tell you this, you will understand. We have problem with Swiss Bank. We have problem with a small country like Panama, Cayman Islands, Seychelles, Bahamas. What are all these things? Saint Nevada and Saint Kitts. All these are small island countries, and they help Indians and the rest of the people to put all their illegal money there. They will float a company known as a fictitious company. They will create a balance sheet. You have invested 1,000 crores. It goes through black money. It's known as a round tripping. So they will invest, they'll create a bogus company, and they will tell you that you are employing 10,000 people, not even one employee will be there in that company. And after 2 years, the money will come back as legal money. Who will solve all these issues? So international law students we want. So go ahead, for those of you who are a little financially sound, who want to make a mark at the international level, go ahead, opportunities are plenty. What's the problem with South China Sea? Why suddenly, South China Sea is a big problem? They're all international because, please remember the ocean has got terrific wealth. So that's why all those countries surrounding the South China Sea is having a problem with China because, everybody wants sea, everybody wants the wealth which is there. They're all interesting laws related to international carriers, international marine laws, sea laws. Sea laws are very, very, very important. You may ask, sir, will ocean ever dry up? Even before steam engine came, even before all the other normal way of the transportation came, it's thousands of years since we have been using the ocean. Huge laws are there. The oceans are rising, boundaries are changing, nautical miles. So everybody wants ocean wealth. You get oil there. Let's not get into all that because it will take a long time. I will go out of focus. So let's come back to the next particular area is government-based career. Please see, I'm drawing a distinction between court-based careers and government-based careers. Court-based, we have already discussed. There are government jobs there also, but specifically, I'm going to focus on government-based careers. Any competitive examinations, I'm sure most of you are from North India. I'm very proud of you, whether it's Uttar Pradesh, whether it's Bihar. You are all taking, many students take competitive examinations, IAS, IPS, Indian Judicial Service. For all your IAS, IPS, IRS, or whether it is related to any other thing, with regard to foreign service, law is the basis. So therefore, beautiful government job is available. Go ahead, study with your law. You can choose the papers there, UPSC civil exams, or you can join hundreds of commissions which are there. You all need only lawyers. Human Rights Commission. Anything happens, Human Rights Commission comes into the picture because Dubai, Human Rights Commission has landed. Women's Commission, Sexual Harassment Act, very powerful law. Very powerful law. I am on the board of many companies. Every time, whether there is a sexual harassment or not, we have to meet and send a nil report. And therefore, it's a very sensitive law. They want independent lawyers because they feel that they are fair. They will do the work properly. So therefore, if you're a lawyer, you get, especially if you're a women lawyer, I don't know how many girls are listening to me. Every company today, it is a very, very powerful law. The Vishaka guidelines came back in 1997. The law came out only in 2013. Very effective law. There's a need for all of you. It can be government-based. It can be corporate-based. right? National Judicial Academy, right? If you go to states, bill collectors, revenue collectors, right? You take up any bank, public sector bank, any financial institution, including SEBI, including RBI, bank-related legal officers, you are going for a loan. You have to given all the documents. There will be legal officers in the bank who will find out whether your documents are all right or not, and finally you have to sign the document. The documents are vetted by legal officers in banks, financial institutions. They're all government jobs because they're all public sector jobs. Okay, then of course you have another interesting thing. Of course, government-based notaries are there. Ministry of Law and Justice, plenty of lawyers are there. Then you have law officers for helping us in government departments. State government departments are there in plentiful. This is another huge opportunity. If I start counting the number of careers available for you freshers or some of you with experience, you're all there. I think it is crossing more than 30 to 35 different types of jobs. I myself would have told you more than 20 to 25 now. Still there are plenty. So therefore, keep your eyes and ears open. Don't come back and say, have I joined a wrong line? Is there any scope? Plenty is there. Let's move on to very interesting things like new laws, new careers. What is it about new laws? Internet has revolutionized the world. E-commerce has become the new sector. Most of you, I do not know, most of the Indians today, they are very smart. They know how to buy through Amazon. They know how to buy through these e-commerce sites. And usually there is a question there. Have you accepted the terms and conditions? Most of them don't even read one line of that. They click the button. When it becomes a case, where does it go? It goes to the lawyer, e-commerce lawyer, cyber laws. Very big law. One wrong message you send to a lady, that's the end of your life. Electronic evidence is considered as a pakka evidence under the Indian Evidence Act. But dear friends, cyber laws, you take up one law and do it for the next 20, 30 years of your life is made. Brand new law. So these are all the interesting laws, application of technology to law. You have legal technologists. Then we did talk a little about intellectual properties, trademarks. We did touch about marine laws, right? Okay. So shipping is one of the shippings, logistics. So as it is expanding, scope for law is becoming bigger and bigger. We did talk a little about Real Estate Regulation Act, GST, councils are meeting. The reason why it takes a long time for it to fall in grip with this, GST council will meet very often, amendments will come. You have to keep yourself abreast with the latest amendments. So dear friends, let's move on to another interesting areas in the field of law. This is a mix of old and new. See, I don't know. For example, if you take up the job of a librarian, I do not know, most of you may shrunk, just say, no, it's not for me. There is a huge opportunity for librarians. Earlier, librarians were there only in high courts and supreme courts and district courts. Today, with plenty of law universities, plenty of law colleges, they are in need of qualified lawyers as librarians. As I said, the field of law is so vast that the person should at least have a broad idea. What are the subjects? Where do we get the relevant portions? What are the latest labor law digests? What are the Supreme Court decisions? Very interesting thing is in the field of media. Today, whether you like it or not, just listen to news. All the English news channels or all regional challenges, 40 to 50% of the time is related to legal matters. Now they found out that many of these journalists, they are not legally qualified. So today, whether it's Republic TV, whether it's Times Now, they are all looking for legally qualified journalists because you should know how to talk about the case. You should know how to quickly read the judgment. Us immediately the essence of what the court said to the public immediately. So therefore, these are all new areas. One more interesting area which all of you will like, I'm not sure if you feel that it is fitting into your personality and competencies. We have what is known as BPOs. In Bangalore, we have lots of BPOs. You have it in Noida, you have it in Gurgaon, you have it in many places. Today, nobody needs to explain what a BPO is. In fact, I was the first person to start a BPO when I was in a company called Emphasis. Today, we have moved to knowledge process outsourcing. Lots of work is coming from United States of America, England, and other European countries to India. I'm talking about the legal field. I'm not talking about the other BPOs related to finance or medical. We want lawyers to understand the documents, give their opinion, and return the document within the next 36 or 48 hours to United States of America. This is a huge new line which is happening in India. It was there here and there in bits, but today, you know what has happened? Unfortunately, the whole world is affected with Corona, and therefore, outsourcing is going to happen in a big way. So therefore, legal process outsourcing is going to become a very interesting area. Then another interesting area is related to forensics, right? We need lawyers. Unfortunately, crimes are happening too many, and then you have, I don't know whether you've heard about victimologists. You require counseling, you require, I would say, a lot of handholding. The person who becomes the victim, they're saying we want lawyers, come and talk, right? And then, we want legal trainers. Today, everybody's a student of law, as I said, especially when it comes to judiciary and legal matters. Legal trainers are in great demand. And one more interesting area, which some of you may like to take. So no, sir, whatever you said, I'm not for it. Today, we still have a new, fresh life in the form of professors. Today, there is a shortage of 40% of good lecturers and professors in all law colleges. So therefore, this is another new opportunity. No, sir, I don't want all that. I'm interested in academics. I'm interested in academic research. To do an LLM, not 1 year LLM. I'm still surprised that colleges are offering 1 year LLM. Do a 2 year LLM. Bangalore, we have the best national law school. Hyderabad, you have Nalsar. So you have beautiful, today, national universities are there. Some of you must be from such fine institutes. You're spending 5 years, wonderful universities. Imagine the professors, if they are not of good qualification or they don't have the competence, your interest for the whole subject goes up. Law is a very interesting subject. It all depends upon how you handle it. It is one of the finest professions. That is why you should have professors who can take the subject very interestingly, develop the curiosity, make you study further. They're all interesting areas. Today, there's a huge gap between demand and supply. Okay, dear friends, I should not over exceed my time. I still have many more slides. Okay, I think I should thank Legal Intellect. If all of you require, I will send these slides to them and you can pick it up from them. You have space laws, environmental laws. Greta Thunberg, you must have heard of environmental laws. Environmental laws are causing huge havoc. We have only one planet to live. We have only one earth to live. Right, so therefore protection of environment, right, air, water and all that. Mergers and acquisitions is happening like anything, we did talk about it. So dear friends, I can go on and on and on. So let me conclude. Conclusion is, because I promised that I'll give 10 minutes for questions and answers. I should not overshoot my time. These are broad 6 areas where I identified where there are huge opportunities for bright youngsters like you. I'll just conclude with a reminding of you on all that. Court-based careers, society-based careers, corporate careers, and I come back to the very interesting thing with regard to the government, government-related jobs. It may not be court-related. Then we have talked about the new careers, new laws, right? All these things, plus the last one, of course, which and therefore my best wishes and blessings to all of you. There are many more opportunities. I can go on and on, but I think I have covered. In fact, I would say I've covered about 60 to 70%, but still there's a huge 30% remaining. Apologies for not covering all. Feel free to write to me or feel free to talk to me. We could always look at all that. To the organizers and I will just wait for them to respond, and then let's see how we could give a nice conclusion for today's session. Thank you very much. You have spent a lovely Sunday morning. It's very precious, very nice to meet all of you. Best wishes. God bless all of you. Go ahead and have a lovely career in the field of law. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a knowledgeable discussion. Now, if anybody has any queries, please mention in the chat box. So the first query is from Deepthi. What strengths do we need to be a good lawyer? So we would be pleased if you would like to answer the question. Sir, do I have to
Can you repeat the question?
What strengths do we need to be a good lawyer?
First and foremost, I think, the personality matters. So therefore, I will say, please keep on building your personality, good communication skills, very essential, good listening skills, good articulation, and good knowledge of the subject. As I said, being an advocate not necessarily means talking too much. Listening to the opponent lawyer, listening to the judge. Many times you will find that you are ready, but when judge asks you a question, you are completely thrown off. So therefore, you should be very good with regard to the facts of the case, facts of the case, facts of the case. Spend a lot of time with the client. Get to know everything from the client. So it comes with a huge personality trait. So therefore, there's not one single qualification to be a good advocate or a lawyer. I'll just give you one case. For a friend of mine, a client had come, he had passed on some information. He said, sir, I have been cheated. My property, something has gone wrong with my property. When the fellow went to the court, then only the judge he was shocked. There was already a will. So therefore, sometimes there's a possibility that the clients will not tell the complete picture. Customer relationship management, get to know everything, be warm, be friendly. So it doesn't come with a particular quality. You should have a bundle of good qualities. You will develop over a period of time. Have the passion. Please keep up the passion. All the potential which you have, keep on exploiting the potential which is there in you, and you will start growing.
Thank you, sir. The second question is from Divyanshi. How to get into Indian force with law field?
See, it is one of the most respected forces in India, correct? Right?
Yes.
So therefore, just go to their website, just because many of the Indian laws, they are not applicable to those people because it's a very disciplined force. They have their own hierarchy of courts. You have to enter through them through writing your examination and systems. Please get to the website, check for all the details. It is one of the most respected areas in India. So therefore, this particular area calls for specialization. So therefore, there is a possibility that you might have to choose that particular area and enter into that line. And it is competitive. It is tough. Take the examinations, enter into it, and you are there.
So the third question is from Raja. How can we go for Oxford and Cambridge universities as a law student?
Yes, I've had the opportunity to go to Oxford a couple of times. Please note that Oxford is actually a small city. You have lots of colleges there. It's not one particular college which is known as Oxford. You have about 80 to 90 colleges there. And similarly, Cambridge. So therefore, lots of colleges are there. So you have to, first of all, get into their website, apply, and you have to take the examination. Most of you have taken the, for example, entering into the national law universities, you have taken the CLAT examination. You have to take the examination, and that's how. It is purely merit-based. So therefore, you have an international exposure. The syllabus is quite different. You will find that the constitutions of each country is different. Constitutions are not same. What is legal in India is not legal in other countries, or what is illegal there need not be necessarily legal here. So therefore, please apply and it is purely merit based. Plus, of course, it is little costly. Somewhere around 20-25 lakhs is required, right? So many of the students whom I know have gone there. They are very happy with the curriculum, very happy with the syllabus, international law exposure. You can even start practicing there. So these are all areas which is left open for the law students of India. Please go ahead.
Another question is from Ritika. It is necessary to complete LLM for PCSJ preparation?
Oh, you're talking about the legal service.
Yeah.
No, not necessary, not necessary. You see, please remember, law itself today, we have laid a very firm foundation, 3 plus 3 or 5 years. Once upon a time, before 1985, we had a funny system. Law colleges used to operate between 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock in the evening, and it was not taken as a serious profession. 1986, the Bar Council of India said it should be taken as a very serious profession. We want only serious people to enter into this legal profession, and the National Law School was opened in 1986, and that's why you have this 5-year curriculum. So therefore, by and large, this is more than sufficient, more than sufficient. LLM is just more, I would say, looking at it from the specialization point of view, right? Either it's constitutional, criminal laws, or whether it is related to commercial laws. But if you want to enter into the judicial services, not required, go ahead, take the examination, objective type questions, right? Initially, and then, there's descriptive type, go ahead, do it well, right? And then, it's all there for you.
So the another question is from Ayush. Do we need to it is we join law field after getting merchant navy degree. Can we do it?
Why not? Absolutely no problem. You can. Any person can join the field of law. I have engineers who join law. I have MBBS students who join law. Absolutely no problem. You come with a rich domain already. And therefore, if you come and do law, do not waste your domain. That is why we have BA LLB. You have BCom LLB. BCom LLB students can look at financial laws very nicely. BBM LLB can look at management laws, corporate laws very nicely. HR related laws, they will do very well. So therefore, whatever domain knowledge you have, it will never go for a waste. That is why I said the field of law permeates everybody. You touch anything, you will find a law there. That's why I started my opening remarks. You're walking on the road, cyclist comes and hits you, motorcycle, you have the Road Accidents Act, the law of torts is there, right? Anything you do. So it will not be a waste. In fact, it will be a blessing for you, right?
So the last question is from my side, sir. If we go for PCSJ exam, when are we eligible for HJS exam?
See, what happens is there is a waiting period. You see, if I have understood you correctly, you see, for example, if you want to become a district judge, right, there is a minimum waiting period of 7 years, right? Supposing you want to become an advocate general, you want to become a solicitor general, you want to become an attorney general, there is a waiting period. So that is why, we value experience. Just go to the respective websites because sometimes there are little changes. But at the lower level, right, at the lower level, lower hierarchy, this is a wonderful opportunity which you youngsters have. Even in 1 or 2 years, you can enter into the field of judiciary. And once you enter, every 3 years or 4 years, you can look forward for promotion. You will find if you're a lower court judge, after 5-6 years, you can very easily become a district judge or sessions court, and then you move to high court. High Court to Supreme Court. There is a beautiful career graph there. You need not worry. At this age, you enter into the junior level. Those of you who have less than 2 years or 3 years experience, career means there should be a ladder. You can see your ladder very nicely when you move based on the experiences you have and the depth and width of cases you have handled, the credibility you have, right?
Yes.
It's all there. Everything is there for you youngsters.
So we end our question round here. We are indebted to have everyone here and are grateful to our guest, Professor Suresh Raghav, and our participants. Thank you very much for your patience and support. I would like to take a